Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It is episode 16. We have Dusta here. How is your day going today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just woke up, did some homework and stuff, so now I'm here.
Pretty usual day for you?
Standard day, yeah. A little bit of panic here and there. You know, the typical.
Of course, yeah. First opening topic I kind of wanted to jump into here is how'd you kind of find VR, or how did you kind of find this space, and how did you get into it?
So this all started back in around 2018, 2019. I had gotten a Rift S because I wanted to try out some of the games like Job Simulator, Beat Saber, all that. I never knew VRChat was a thing, but I just had the headset. I was in this group of friends who found out about VRChat and was inviting me to it, and it's like, hey, come check out this social game, you can hang out with people and all that. And I thought it was pretty cool, but I had only spent about like 50 to 100 hours in it at the time. Soon after, I lost contact with that friend group. It was about like 2 or 3 years I didn't touch the game until one day I had noticed that friend was streaming, and he was doing a birthday stream in VRChat, and I said, you know, why don't, as a gift, I'll hop back into VR and sort of surprise him as like a little gift. I hadn't seen him in years, so I did that, and I hung out with people again, and I enjoyed it so much that I hadn't stopped. And I had went back in 2021 or 2022, and I had not gone back since.
And that was kind of like would you say your VRChat awakening? Like that one moment, it's like, oh, I'll get back into it, and you just kind of stayed here.
I had only ever intended of just surprising him in that moment, but this was actually the world that I had joined them in while they were hanging out in the upstairs in the other room, and I had enjoyed my time so much that I had kept coming back. And then eventually I, bought an index and then full body, and then that sort of, jump started my whole VRChat career.
For the first couple years, you'd say you were in VRChat. Were you mostly just hanging out with friends and stuff, or how did that go for you? Were you like going to clubs, or?
I have no real recollection of what I did when I first started out in VRChat, so I can only really say on behalf of when I came back. When I came back, I mostly hung out with that group of friends, and that's where I met most of the people that I know now. And of course, the people have changed. The friends come and go, and I've lost a lot of friends, and I've gained a lot of new ones and stuff. It's all all part of being online and being around different types of people. But what I had mainly did was I'd just follow whatever they were doing, and they streamed all the time. So sometimes they'd go into public worlds and play like Murder 4, or sometimes they'll go exploring different adventure worlds, and whatever it is, I just join them and be along for the ride.
You are, of course, one of the heads of Club Kryptic. How did that kind of all start up, and the inspiration behind your clubbing scene and inspiration behind that?
Well, the clubbing scene was very spur of the moment thing for me. It sort of just like happened out of nowhere. I have a friend, their name is Jamie, and we were visiting VCAT Worlds one Saturday, and after we were done with the VCAT World, Jamie had expressed, ooh, there's a clubbing event going on today, and it was Shelter. I was like, oh, okay, let's go to that. I'm interested. And so Jamie, and this was before like groups were a thing, so we had to join off of the bot and had to request, and Jamie told me to friend the bot, and as soon as the time went, I joined on the bot, and I found out I was in the main instance of Shelter, which at the time was a very big deal because it was always very random which world you would go to. So I managed to get me and Jamie into the main instance, and that sort of really boosted how I felt about clubs and stuff, because I was able to see all the main DJs performing there in the world and seeing all the liveliness of the world. And so that sort of jump started my career to where every week I was asking Jamie, oh, is there any clubs we can go to? Are there any cool? And that's all I did, was I just followed Jamie, and Jamie would find the clubs and it would take me to them. And at some point that had switched to where I started looking for more clubs. Yeah, I started taking them to the different worlds and introducing them to different clubs and stuff. You asked about Club Kryptic. Was I had met some guy in a random pug. His name is Fives, and he started hanging out with me more, and we sort of grew as a friend together and became closer and closer. And I had introduced him into the clubbing scene as well. And so he got quite interested. And before he was even in the clubbing scene, before he was even introduced, he had ideas of starting a club-like scenario, and I had sort of told him that this was already something that people are doing and something that could be done. He came up to me and another one of my friends, and we were like, "Hey, I have an idea to run by you. I want to start this club." At first, we didn't think much of it. We were like, "Oh, okay, it's just a club, whatever. We can do it." But then there was one night when we were just hanging out and we were in this, music listening mood. We dropped a world, or he dropped a world that was a group instance that was connected to the group, and he started throwing out invites, and he invited two of the DJs that we were friends with. They had both spontaneously decided, let's DJ here and start inviting people. That one night of just a spur of the moment pop-up, we ended up gaining like 30 members because they were just inviting people, the two DJs. And at that moment we sort of like, could we actually do this kind of thing? Is this thing like feasible? And that's sort of how that started.
Of course. And you've explained to me a little how it's mostly just like kind of a little bit of something you really want to pursue and do, but you guys host DJs and going to plan more events for that. You guys want to plan to do more of them, of course, on Sundays, on the weekend.
Yeah, so I sort of found out, or through some of the other DJs and through what I've been, my history of going to different events, I find that not a lot of people will DJ on Sundays, and that's usually because that's for people it's a recovery day. You do your heavy partying on Friday and Saturday, and then you recover for Monday on Sunday. But there are still people on Sundays who like to party still and still want to go clubbing, and so we're like, let's provide something for them. Let's do it on Sunday. It's when most of us are available and where we can all get together and throw an event together. So most of our events, I think from now on, will be on Sundays.
It's amazing because like that recovery day, I feel like a lot of the hard going partygoers will most likely like really choose to go to the Sunday events, but some like more casual people that do party on Saturday that like want to take a break would take a break and not go to Sunday events.
We're planning on having probably 2 or 3 events throughout the month of November, and we're gonna look for new DJs and see if any of them are willing to come on and provide a good time for people who just want to listen to music.
Heck yeah, that's a vibe. Honestly, of course, introduced you to this DJ, and I think you might have reached out to them a little bit, but we should get Wylda on definitely at one of your events.
Of course, he is one of the people that I definitely want in the next event. I do really like his sets, and I think a lot of other people who've watched him DJ also very much like his sets. So I'm more than happy to ask him to be a part of one of our events.
And recently, actually, just of yesterday, he released a new original song, and it's amazing, and I think you would love to play some of his original works at that event.
Oh yeah, I was listening to that on the way to school, and it was an amazing thing. I love the vocals and the beat of it itself.
Yeah, when I talked to Wylda on his podcast around 2 to 3 months ago, he said he's been doing music for as long as he could remember. Like he first started off with a lot of guitar stuff and DJing, and of course like house and techno music is still pretty new to him.
That's insane. It's like I guess for me is I was never in that whole big music background. It's like my first ever memory of that is like my dad just like putting on music in the car as we go to like road trips, and that's very standard of like what you remember back then. But like, a lot of my music taste is inspired by my dad, but I feel like I have a lot that my parents wouldn't listen to, and so it's been like a mishmash of like stuff my parents will listen to, or like my siblings, and then like stuff that I have found over the years. And now it's like, I go to these DJ events or like these events in VRChat, and like I find new songs, and I'm like, what is this song? I need to know. And so I'll try and look it up and whatnot, and that just sort of grows my collection of songs that I just love to hear.
Of course, I feel like being more open-minded to a lot of different music genres in general and stuff is very good because you find a lot more things that you might be interested in. And of course, like I love all around sort of like music stuff, but I would say like of course a lot of the older stuff's really good, like Beatles, Queen, AC/DC, a lot of the older stuff's still amazing. And what I've actually seen more in VRChat is people trying to portray that music and remix those songs and do DJ sets of those old songs, which is really cool, which I haven't really seen done before.
One of the coolest things I saw was I got the opportunity to go to ShelterCon this year, which was an event that is held in person where people basically all around the world can just come and have a real life, rave event. And one of the things that we had was there was a beach party or that ShelterCon hosted, and people brought in mixers and a giant speaker, and there was just music blaring, and we all had a good time, and everyone there was just so friendly, and it was all just connected through music, and that sort of really just inspired me to try and do something with that, because I loved the community. Everyone was so friendly, everyone's so nice. It made me wonder if I could become a DJ, if it was something that was possible.
I like how there's that common joke in VR of like, music is very powerful and it brings people together, but it's totally impossible never to like I wouldn't say want to say never, but it's pretty much impossible to know every single DJ in VR because there's always new ones popping up every day, and there's people inspired by their DJs to get into DJing every single day.
No, that's very true. I've met a lot of people who are like, "Oh yeah, my friends forced me to DJ, and now and now I play for all these events, and there's all these people just booking me." I've been around the different types of communities where there are veteran DJs who've been DJing for years. I've even been around people who've just started DJing, and there's me and one of the other co-founders of our club, we met someone who had, within the last 2 weeks of us meeting them, had started their own club very recently, and they invited us to an event, and we went to it, and it was an amazing event, and it was just it sort of inspired us, and it sort of made us think, wow, we could do something like this as well.
What I think Club Cryptic will provide for kind of just the general VRChat community and DJing scene is amazing. Like that opportunity to bring people together on a Sunday when people still want to club, and if people still want to recover, I feel like people will drop by, and it's going to be a very cool event to have on Sundays.
It's been a lot of work for me, specifically because I know the other two founders. They're pretty busy, and I'm fully aware of that. And I typically am the one with a little more free time. I do end up doing most of the work, most of the planning, most of the management system and all that. It does get very tiring because it's a lot to manage, and you barely get time to even enjoy the music sometimes. But all of that, all of the work, it's always worth it when you see people just having fun and dancing away to the venue that you created. Brings a smile to my face just knowing that people are there having a good time and potentially even inspiring someone to start DJing just because they were able to come to an event and watch someone make awesome mixes.
Mostly Cryptic is a PC kind of inspired, like mostly clubbing. But one of the communities I'm very active in is the QCC, which is the Quest compatible clubbing scene here in VRChat. And I think maybe we could like put something together with Cryptic and QCC having like a collab or something in the future. Bringing those two communities together would be amazing, I think.
A collab is always very nice. You're able to intermingle two communities together, and that'd be an amazing opportunity. And I'm sure we could get something done with that, and so we can allow more people to just learn more about the different DJs and stuff. That would be a good opportunity to do in the future. Yeah.
Because I feel like on the rise, kind of how I talked about in the other podcast I did with Brohammer and Giggle, which are some staff members of the QCC, plus compatible clubbing, because of course PC clubbing is when PC users go to clubs, and of course standalone quest users can't join, which I feel like is kind of a tragedy in a way because everyone I feel like in some sort of way loves music and loves to enjoy music in any or some sort formal way. And I feel like the more people get inspired by DJing and world creation and all that, more and more Quest compatible clubs will start popping up next couple years. It's gonna be a big scene. Like I think eventually it might even rival or even pass the PC clubbing scene.
Still a very new thing for Quest users because it's only very recent where they got the ability to put like links and stuff like that, or stuff that wasn't already part of some sort of, I guess, database.
Of course.
And doing that is very difficult because you don't really have a place to be able to host something like that. So like and recently they're able to do that now. You can throw YouTube links, you can throw up Twitch links and all that. That makes it very possible. It makes quest clubbing a very viable option now.
Yeah,
And
of
it
course.
definitely does have a big market for that because there are a lot of quest users in VRChat.
Mhm. Especially with I feel like the Quest 2 is gonna still be around for a while. But yeah, like kind of we said in the past couple years, VR has skyrocketed because of the market of the Quest 2 and how much new people are introduced into VR. If even if it was just like, oh, I'm gonna play Beat Saber Super Hot and all these standard games, and then later they figure out VR chat the thing and they explore VR chat and people just automatically fall in love with it or stay around for a week and then never play it again. But the people who I feel like do stick around do eventually stumble into the music scene and really love it here. And yeah, that's like a really magical thing of what music could do, bring people together and hang out.
And I guess that just was never a possibility beforehand because, oh yeah, let me introduce you to like the clubbing scene, and if you're a quest user, there was just nothing you could do about it. There was no way around it. Like people could probably play through their microphone or something, but that just sort of is like a band-aid fix, and it just really
Mhm.
doesn't compare to what is possible with clubbing as a whole and what people have done with music and visual. There's definitely a lot of creative things you can do, and I've seen a lot of different like visual effects that are built into the world itself, and people are very, very creative and are very talented in being able to come up with that stuff.
I guess more or less music wise with VR chat. Going into VR chat for me, I feel like it was more or less like I wasn't looking for the DJ stuff and all the clubbing and music parties and that in the first place, but I honestly kind of like I said in earlier was I kind of stumbled into it randomly. I was hanging out at a pub. Uh, I don't know why this happens, but according to what we talked about, a lot of just random stuff happens at a pub. Love everyone just loves hanging around a pub. It's a good chill spot to hang out at night.
There's a lot of things that happen in a pub, some good, some bad, right?
Of
You always
course.
have the bad apples, and that's to be expected with it being in an online setting and there not being as many restrictions and stuff like that. And but there
Yeah,
all when there is good that happens, you could really, I guess, capitalize on that, and you very much learn something new. Like most
of
of the
course.
people that I hang out with now I've met through pugs, and I'm very thankful that I did end up going to those pugs when I did, because I'll never have met them, and I've never will have, I guess, gained new friendships and new bonds.
Yeah, that night when I was on the top level in the roost near the fireplace, I met this little mute called Miyu. She's full body with Vive 2.0s with the track strap pluses, dances, does her own thing all the time. I joined in like half body, just dancing, listening to her music, just hanging out. 3 to 4 hours later, she's just still dancing and going. I'm like, how? How is this possible? Like, how? And then like I add her and she's really cool and chill. But all she loves to do is loves to party. And that same Friday, her status was listening to DJ Wildebeest. I joined off of her, and that's how I was stumbling into the club scene, honestly, like head first, and I never looked back. And I don't regret it. It was an amazing kind of introduction. How I met Wylda, Brohammer, and everyone. That whole community, and I just started branching off to more PC experiences and Quest experiences. And
I definitely remember like meeting a lot of my favorite DJs, and and back then I was very timid about that. I I remember I met one of my now favorite DJs, and I was like, hey, I really liked your set. Can I shoot you a friend request? I'd like to join join on you more often, and you know, he accepted. And I remember I was still always very timid to join him because I was like afraid. Like I was just gonna like I was afraid I was intruding. And you know, recently I was able to talk to him in a more like personal setting, not a personal setting, but talk to him one on one without and this was after I had, I guess, grown in my confidence with talking to other people, and had a huge part in this was a big part of this was because I had to start managing my own club, and I sort of had to step out of that comfort zone of of being too timid and shy, and I could no longer be the person that just stands in the back and like stays to myself, right? I had to actually go and talk to people and all that. So I was able to transfer that, and because I was able to do that, I had asked him if he wanted to, you know, at some point DJ for an event for us, and he's like, yeah, I would love to. Hearing that made me so happy because it was one of my favorite one of my favorite DJs.
I guess that was kind of a thing for me. Like, I feel like that shyness will hit everyone at one point. Even like I'm very outgoing. I
Mm-hmm.
love talking to people, but even as a perfect example of that is I love music, and adding DJs and just being like casually walking up to people and being like, I loved your set. Can I add you so I could listen to more of you? Because this was amazing and I had a great time.
The first time I had ever listened to his set, I was very high off of edibles. And
Mhm.
I remember the set that he played was like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And I was very lucky because he posted sets on YouTube, and I'm able to listen to them. But I remember the morning of, I had messaged, or I had saw a tweet that he had posted saying that he was never going to do that type of style again because it just doesn't fulfill him. And that sort of devastated me because it was the type that I really fondly liked. For a while, I wanted to tell him that. I wanted to tell him that I loved that type of set, but that timidness that got to me, and it never really was a thing that I could do. And there was someone that I met in a pug coincidentally, who also very much enjoyed music. I had expressed that to them, how I said to them I felt too timid to talk to them, and but like I really liked that set, and I'm very sad that they wouldn't do it anymore. And she told me like, no, you should tell them anyways. Tell them that, you know, that you very much enjoyed that set, because they're not gonna know that people like it if no one tells them.
Of course.
And that stuck to me.
Mhm.
That stuck to me, and you know, a week or two later, when I was able to meet up, like, you know, catch them in an event that they were visiting, I was able to tell them. I was able to finally convey that, and they were like, I didn't know anyone like that, and they explained why. They explained why they didn't like those types of set, but he said that he was willing to play that style for an event for that, you know, we host, because he knows how much I like it. And that sort of it like warmed my heart, thinking, wow, he's willing to put up with the difficulty of making a set like that, even though it's not his preferred, you know, DJing style, because people like to hear it.
Another kind of instance I'd say of an example of that is Wylda mostly plays techno and house, but is pretty much down, I'd say, to like explore genres and play pretty much whatever. And Wylda just loves music in general. And is a creator. He loves making things and making his own style of music, which is all the stuff he releases is beautiful. It's really good, and he's starting to incorporate more vocals into his music, which is very, very amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are actually growing a fan of Wylda. I remember talking to Fives, one of the other co-founders. And I'm like, this is one of the people that I want in a venue, and he's like, fuck yeah, dude! Like, you fucking book him. He's an amazing DJ. So he's excited, and I'm excited, and it's gonna be a great event whenever we're able to get him on board.
I feel like the more people I introduce Wilda to, like I make it as a I say this as a joke, but like at the end of the day, I'm like, I will turn everyone into a Wilda enjoyer. Because Wilda is just his stuff is amazing.
It's not that people aren't a Wylda enjoyer, it's just they don't know about Wylda yet.
Is posting all his tracks and stuff on YouTube, and I'm really trying to like give him the attention. I feel like I'm really trying to like promote Wilda, put him out there more, get him more DJ stuff, and tell more like DJs and more clubs about Wilda to get it more out there because I feel like his stuff's just really, truly like one of a kind, some of his original works. And I really want more people to hear that type of music that he has to convey to people, I feel like.
I've definitely seen Wylda play for a lot of the bigger events as of recent, so I think whatever you're doing is you definitely, helping him along and helping him grow his, DJing career for VRChat, yeah.
Along the lines of what he's also said, he just loves to play for people because he loves to see people having a great time and partying along and just having the time of their lives just listening to good music. And it just warms his heart because he loves just hanging out with people at clubs himself, but then he loves providing that and playing for people. Damn, music's just so powerful though. I never really thought about it this much of like I always took music so casually in the past, even though like kind of my music upbringing was more or less I feel like it's we take music from our parents, kind of like you took more of your inspiration of like getting music inspired from your dad as a kid, and I more or less did the same. But the more and the more I put more effort into listening to more genres and everything and branching out even more and more, the more I just felt music touched me more and how more I feel like it can convey so much different feeling and bring people together mostly.
Truly amazing how like music can just do that, right? If you think about it, the music just sounds and stuff, right? But it's like the way it is, like it has ways of connecting people together, and it's insane just how much room there is to like meet new people and all that just through music alone.
Really taking a right turn here, but I do want to ask you this. Do you have a favorite ocean animal?
New topic, I see. Hmm.
More or less had to
Hmm.
choose though. Like, what would you say like your favorite would be?
Really putting me on the spot here. You want me to say dolphin, huh?
I'm not
You
forcing
want
you
me
to
to
say
say
dolphin.
dolphin? Nah.
Yes.
Orcas are nice.
Honestly, I think might be in the same family, but my second favorite would be more or less like whale sharks. Like they're very, I feel like majestic and they're massive creatures. Like even the
Mm-hmm.
juvenile ones are around 20 feet, which are still, I think, like the max length of like a fully grown great white. And that's like huge. The kind of like joke on the ocean of like, holy shit, we need a bigger boat. Because those things are like, God,
So why do you ask me about, I guess, ocean animals or ocean creatures?
I feel like it's something I like to ask. It's a very random question. People don't really expect often. But honestly, for as long as I can remember, I feel like the ocean in some sort of way has been a part of my life, and I've always more or less lived pretty close to the ocean, and every time I went to the ocean, it's just very relaxing, very calming. And just like even just ocean waves up against like the shore, it's like very relaxing and calming. I feel like as a kid, one of my memories or experiences that really impacted me that really inspired me just to love the ocean even more was watching that one movie called Dolphin Tale, which is that true story on how a dolphin washed up onto a beach in Florida and is just totally like unable to swim anymore because the tail is infected because it got caught in a crab trap, right? And got rescued by CMA Aquarium, which they do rescue, rehab, and release for animals. And that story of how no one thought Winter is what they named the dolphin would ever make it. They're like, how can a fish live without their tail, right? How can they swim? How does that work? Because dolphins go up and down like this. And then what Winter actually kind of did was she started swimming with her spine going back and forth, which is what usually sharks do, which is so unnatural for them. And what they figured out that was doing was it was tearing her spine apart from the inside out. It was horrible. So what they had to try to do was to create a prosthetic, kind of like for humans, but for a fish. Very crazy idea of how they created a prosthetic tail to try to eliminate that or like subside the pain from that and to have her live more comfortably. And that story of just how fighting and just against the pain and just fighting on and not giving up, that story just inspired me and just like shows on how inspiring that could be in a way because it really hit me because in a way because I'm blind. I often as a kid had a lot of fears of going to sleep and never waking up or going to sleep and waking up blind. And just to get my mind off of that, thinking of that story, it was like, just stop thinking about it and just live your life normally.
So that's very inspiring to hear about the dolphin. That is like finding ways around your own limitations, and it's very unfortunate with the events what happened to the tail, but is able to find a new way to be able to have like purpose, and
Of course.
that's amazing.
It shows how much willpower and just general on how things just don't want to die. Animals have the same fight of like that just don't want to give up. And it shows that and it portrays that.
I think it is very very poetic. A lot of the times we feel like we're not useful or we have no purpose, and you know I think just hearing that means like we do definitely have a purpose, and we do have some sort of reason why we're put here. I don't think I don't think any of us were put here on Earth for an accident, like on accident. And I think making the most of our lives is one of the things we can do to get the most use out of it.
I've always, for the longest time, was like, oh, I was never really supposed to be here. But then the more I thought of it, I'm like, everyone does have a purpose. You kind of just have to find it and go searching for it and find what you're passionate about, find what you love, and provide that. Show people that you're different. And I just want to inspire people. Like, if I could inspire people by just making people smile, even just from like dumb videos I post on the internet, or I'm just having fun. I'm passionate about this stuff, and if it could just even make someone smile, I've completed my job because I know someone enjoyed it.
I think in a big way, I am very much the same. I love hearing people laugh. I love making people laugh. It it brings joy when I see people just getting along and being happy and stuff. It makes me feel like I've done something good and I've done something positive.
Okay, wait. Last thing. Is it Doosta or Dusta?
One more. It is whatever you want it to be.
I mean,
There is technically a correct way of saying it, but I don't mind either way.
of course, of
Because
course.
most people that see my name read Dust and then the A, but the correct way to pronounce it is Doosta.
I think it sounds really cool as Doosta, but like I feel like people just going by the English standard of how English is weird and we all hate it. It's pronounced Dusta in English of how we hate English so much.
like I've said this a billion times before. It doesn't matter to me. I'll respond to both. I understand that people will read it as Dusta, and as far as for as long as I've had this alias, it has always been people read it and say Dusta, and then it's only the people that are like that become close to me that truly ask, "Is that even how you pronounce it?" And I'd say technically no, but it never bothered me, and I have friends who are like, "It's Doosta, pronounce it correctly," and I'm like, I don't care. You can pronounce it the way you want to. It doesn't affect me. It's still me. It's just a name. Exactly.
I had a blast. I think I'm gonna end it off here. Thank you for coming on, Doosta.
Thank you for having me.
That's the end of the episode. I will see you all in the virtual world.